Hello there. Here we are with issue 34, and this is going to be the bonus issue. So before we get going on this, let's go ahead and bounce over to talk about the details and the data of this issue, and then we'll come back and finish this up. Okay, here we are with issue 34, details and data breakdown. So we had one video in this one. We worked on exterior details. Total time of work was 57 minutes and 57 seconds. It took 5 video captures to make the video. Total record time was 27 minutes and 57 seconds, but total video time was 25 minutes and 31 seconds. We only glued 4 pieces together, technically 8, but that became 4 pieces. We put in 0 screws, and there is our paint that we use this time. So we can look at our captures. Many of them are, well, the 4 out of the 5 were less than 4 minutes long, and we had the last part, which was 14 minutes long. So, and if we come out here, we can look at our overall details. Yeah, this is 51 videos so far. Total captures of 154. Our average time is now down to 30 minutes and 50 seconds, and we're up to 185 microbrushes while having 438 glued parts. So I used one microbrush to glue, and then I used 2 different microbrushes because I bought some more gray paint because I'm apparently addicted to gray paint, and so I bought some more gray paint for that, and I wanted to try it out on my sample panel. So let's get back to the magazine. All right. I hope that you are still finding that interesting, and it's just something I can quickly review. I don't know if it's got any value to it. If anyone thinks that it's useful, then that's fine with me. Let's go through this. So the Gozanti class cruiser. Now the thing about this is the first time I remember seeing this was in Rebels, I think it was. Although it may have been in Clone Wars as well, looking at this picture here. Looks like a Clone War, you got some battle droids around it and whatnot. But apparently we'll see that it was actually in the Phantom Menace as well. So this is another ship built by the Corellian Engineering Corporation. It's a cruiser transport, 63.8 meters long, 32 meters wide, 14.7 meters tall. It only has a Class 3 hyperdrive. Its armament is a dorsal twin laser cannon turret and 1 ventral heavy laser cannon turret. It's got a complement of 4 TIE starfighters externally mounted, or 4 all-terrain defense pods externally mounted, plus 1 stormtrooper squad. So it was originally designed as just like a cargo ship or something like that, but it was definitely its use definitely changed. So when the manufacturer of the Corellian introduced the ship at least a decade before the Clone Wars, the new cruiser was envisioned as a versatile general carrier equipped to handle shipping runs on the more lawless, far-flung reaches of the galaxy. Then it was pretty much realized that it had military capabilities. When the galactic conflict broke out following the Separatist crisis, these go-anywhere ships were soon adopted by several factions that realized that they made ideal support vessels for small-scale military operations. In the Clone Wars, the Ot-O tactical droid flew a Gozanti-class cruiser on several missions for the Confederacy, while the Black Sun and Shadow Collective crime syndicates also used modified Gozanti-class ships which notably took part in both the takeover of Mandalore and the Battle of Sandbar. So here's a side view of it. So that's pretty interesting. Imperial support vessel. Most were converted to TIE carriers, as each could transport up to 4 TIE fighters. Some were also adapted for the all-terrain defense pods, which we talked about. Uh, uh, they were widely used as military auxiliaries, um, so that was interesting. So here it talks about how in Rebels they tried to use one as a more or less a trap to try to lure in the rebels and capture them or kill them, whatever, and they were able to get away. So that's pretty cool. The dual-purpose design, fitted with a Class 3 hyperdrive and 3 sublight engines, the Gozanti class is not particularly fast, but it is powerful, tough, and reliable. As a freighter, the boxy hull could carry a lot of cargo and has a convenient loading elevator on the underside near the nose. In a military role, it is tough enough to deal with most opposition, and when they need to be deployed rapidly, these ships were small enough to be carried in the main hangar of a separatist supply ship, which normally housed the much bigger C-9979 landing craft. Um, so this kind of breaks down some of the stuff for that was in the Rebels show. So when the Rebel leader Kanan Jarrus was captured by the Grand Moff Tarkin and taken to Mustafar for interrogation, his companions defied orders by the Rebel Alliance and stole an Imperial freighter to stage a rescue, leaving their droid chopper in charge. The rebels boarded Tarkin's ship, but the plan appeared to have misfired when it became clear that not only had Tarkin anticipated it, but the unreliable astromech had headed off with their getaway vehicle. Fortunately, while the rebels battled the Imperials, Chopper returned with reinforcements. The rebels' successful escape and the setback for Tarkin were such as a turning or seen as a turning point in the fortunes of the alliance. So there you go. So yeah, this was apparently a lot more widely used than I had expected and thought. So this is what it looks like if it's going to be carrying the all-terrain defense pods walkers. As these here, they almost look like the ATSTs, but I think they're a little bit different. But here I mentioned that it was in Phantom Menace. So this is an image from Phantom Menace here. Let me just get this a little bit closer for you. So you can see that there. All right. So the design of what would later become the Imperial freighter was seen for the first time in 1999 in the Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace, where an unidentified starship flies over Mos Espa as the travelers arrive. The same ship was seen again 3 years later in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, also in the background of scenes at Mos Espa. In 2006, this ship was finally identified as the Gozanti class vessel called Crate's Honor, and its backstory was explained by Kenobi DX67 through StarWars.com's fan club feature. What's the story? The tale of the Crate's Honor, which acted as an armored escort for freelance merchants, was later expanded upon in the 2007 edition of the Starships of the Galaxy role-playing source books and the complete Star Wars encyclopedia. The generic Gozanti class cruiser was also included in Star Wars Rebels Head to Head, a young reader's book. So there you go. Types of stars. So this just basically goes through stars and whatnot. It's mildly interesting if you are, you want to learn that type of stuff or what have you. But the one thing that I thought was interesting is, I mean, it goes through all the different classification. So you have a red giant, a blue giant, and then the red supergiant. Brown dwarf protostar, red dwarf orange, yellow, yellow white, white, blue white, and blue. But the interesting thing I thought was that it is really in the behind the scenes, the OBAFGKM classification system, which I don't know what the hell that is, but sure, that's the worst acronym ever, if you ask me. Is also used for identifying types of stars in the real universe. So that was something that they apparently used to classify stars in Star Wars, but is also used in the real universe. However, some types of Star Wars stars do not fit the physics or cosmology of real life. Blue stars cannot exist for long enough for a sentient species to evolve, while brown dwarfs are smaller in reality, and red giants are not stable enough to support a habitable, habitable, habitable. That's how you say that. Habitable planet through although black dwarfs will theoretically form from the remnants of stars, they do not exist in our world, as the universe is only about 13 billion years old and it would take trillions of years for them to form. For calculating such vast numbers, Star Wars uses the so-called short scale convention in which a billion equals 1,000 million and so on, not the long scale in which a billion equals a million million. So this kind of breaks down what the scale is, right? So there you go. That's all about the stars. Now we'll get into some refueling. Again, this is not terribly interesting for the Secrets of Spaceflight. You know that ships need to fuel. So one of the things was um, kind of here at the beginning, there are numerous types of starship fuel, including hypermatter, the exotic and costly high-performance power source chosen for star destroyers and starfighters. For more mundane applications, fuels are classed according to their recommended use, with shipping grade, used to power the galaxy's slowest and cheapest freighters, comes near the bottom. Other substances have been used as starship fuel, including rhydonium, the explosive beryllium, and the far more stable anthracite. So that's kind of the most important or interesting aspect. It talks about some different um, fuel, fueling ships and what have you, and it goes through some stuff where it talks about the mobile fueling, which kind of makes sense. That you'd want to have some mobile fueling, especially with war and whatever. And then they have the orbital facilities where you can fuel and that kind of stuff. So that part was, about it. Now here was something that was a bit interesting. So the exterior set of the Falcon built for the Docking Bay 94 and the Death Star hangar scenes in A New Hope consisted only of the starboard half of the ship due to limited space and the need to conserve the budget. The missing half is clear from the absence of the sensor dish in Docking Bay 94 scene, where it should come into shot in some angles. This version of the ship lacks the forward landing legs added for The Empire Strikes Back, where they were needed to support the weight of the full Falcon built for the second movie. A weight-bearing support fitted in the position where the forward starboard landing leg would later be added is visible running up the underside of the Falcon from the ground in both the docking bay and the hangar scenes. And most nicely, it is disguised as a fuel hose, which it must be assumed that Han had time to disconnect before taking off. So that was kind of interesting. This part here was a tad bit interesting. So if you watch the Clone Wars, you'd remember this one. So after Fuel had been brought on board a starship. It is stored in fuel cells, otherwise known as fuel rods or fuel cores. Ships are normally fitted with computers that monitor when the fuel is running out and the cells need refilling. Fuel computers also keep track of where and when the ship was refueled, which, while this facility is intended for uh, the convenience of the crew, it can also be used forensically to work out the movements of a subject vessel, such as when Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano tracked the bounty hunter Cad Bane via his fuel computer, as Bane had wiped all the other data from his ship's memory. So, yeah, so you can track your ship and where it's been and all that kind of stuff using its fuel computer. So there we go. That's what we did this time, and we got all of these parts done. So next time we'll have some more exterior pieces, but more than likely we'll be working on the framework, I'm guessing, because we don't have anything to do with these exterior pieces just yet. And it's becoming more and more evident that I'm going to have to get to painting some of these exterior plating pieces, because otherwise we're going to get to a spot where we're going to be attaching them and I'm not going to be ready to attach them, and that'll get really boring. So next time we'll be looking at issue 35. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying this. And again, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Let's make 2021 the best year we can. So take care, everybody. May the force be with you always.